Welcome. This is a recording for Tuesday, November 21st. It's a review of some of the reflection content that we went over on Monday. And so what we're looking at here are our three rigid transformations we've been discussing the last several days. The one that we're focusing on is the reflection, this first one. The reflection is a flip over a line of reflection. So this is one of the images that we saw in class the other day. The line of reflection, it would be right here for this one, the line that I just drew. It looks like I could fold the blue triangle over that line onto the green triangle and they would match up. So that's our line of reflection. Reflection is a flip. And so where we ended in class the other day was practicing with two GeoGebra practices. The first one is to write or construct the line of reflection. These are some of the tools you're going to see once we go in there. All tools that we've used before. And again, that first construction is going to be line of reflection. And then the second one is going to be to construct a reflected image. So I'm going to go over into GeoGebra and do both. You could watch one, you could watch them all, it's up to you. And then I will also post the links to GeoGebra in the class, in the course online, so that you can try them again on your own. So I'm going to go over into the first one. This is the one constructing a line of reflection. There's several of them here for you to practice. And the steps, if you read through them, is almost the same as when we constructed an equilateral triangle or perpendicular bisector, which is what they're calling it here. And so step number one is to draw a line segment connecting a vertex in the pre-image with this corresponding point in the image. And so corresponding points are the points that match up from the pre-image to the image. An example is C and C prime. Right? So they would be corresponding points because they match up. It's the same part or piece of the triangle on both sides. A and A prime would be corresponding points. B and B prime would be corresponding points. And again, you could use any set of corresponding points you choose. So I'm going to use C just because they're closest here. Again, you could use whatever set you want. And step number one is to create a line segment from C to C prime, or your two corresponding points. Now, step two says to draw circles. We need two circles. If you remember, for perpendicular bisectors or equilateral triangles, we need two circles. And the end point is going to be the segment that we just drew for both circles. And that's our radius. And then each of the circles is going to be centered around each endpoint. So I'm looking at this line I just drew. I need to make a circle around C, a circle around C prime that share the same radius. So I'm going to click my compass or circle button here. I'm going to click the radius, which is C to C prime, and then center my first circle around C. And then I'm going to do one more, same radius, C to C prime, and center that circle around C prime. And now in the next step, 3, I want to mark the points of the intersections of the two circles, top and bottom. So I'm going to grab that intersect tool, put a point at the top, put a point at the bottom where the circles intersect. And then finally, step 4 is to connect those points. I'm going to use the line tool to do it. And there we go. So that is my line of reflection. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to scroll down. This is the second one. So this time I'm going to choose point B as my corresponding point. So I'm going to draw a line segment between B and B prime. And now I have to do two circles. So one circle is going to be, again, the radius is the line segment I just drew, centered around B. And I'm going to do one more, same radius, this time centered around B prime. I'm not sure why this was happening in class 2. We're getting these errors that pop up. You could just click through them. that shouldn't stop anything. I'm not sure why we're getting those errors. I'm going to shrink this down so I could see my two intersections. And so I need to put a point now on the two intersections where the circle crosses over. And now I just have to connect them. And that's it. Now I have my line of reflection. And so you could try those two as well as the M's are here in task 4. And then we have two trapezoids here in task 5. Right, so again, I will post this link in the course so you could try those, creating or constructing your line of reflection. Now I'm going to go over to the other GeoGebra. And this one is constructing a reflected image. So I'm going to do the first two. The first one we did in class, the second one you were working on. You could watch both again. You could watch one and then try the rest. That's up to you. So what I'm going to do first is step number 1, use the point tool to mark a point on the line of reflection. And so I need to put a point somewhere on this line of reflection that's already drawn for me. And for this one in particular, the further away you put it, the better it ends up. So not to put it down here in the middle of A, B or something really close. It doesn't matter where you put it, but if you keep it a little bit further away, then it'll be easier for you to see. And so I'm just going to put a point about there. Again, it doesn't matter where exactly you put it. That's my step 1. Step 2 now is to create a circle with the radius of CD centered around C. Now I want to center around C because this is the point that I'm reflecting. I can't reflect A or B because they are on the line of reflection, so they're not going to move. So I need to use point C because that's the one that's off to the side. I could reflect that one over to the other side and then draw my shape. So in step 2, I'm going to create a circle with the radius CD and center it around C. So hit my compass tool, CD is my radius, and I'm going to center it around C. Now I need to mark where that circle is intersecting the line of reflection, and it's kind of small. So I'm going to go ahead and blow this up a little bit so I could see it a little bit better. And so wherever that circle is passing over the line of reflection, we already have the one there. So we need to put a point in the second place it's crossing over. There we go. Now I need to create 2 more circles. So I'm up here on step 4. I'm going to construct a circle with the radius CD centered around D and CE centered around E. So what I'm going to do is create 2 circles that has the radius from the point I'm trying to reflect to the 2 points that I just created on that line. So a circle from C to D centered around D, and a circle from C to E centered around E. So I'm going to grab my circle tool, go C to D, centered around D, and C to E, centered around E. And again with those error messages. And so now I'm on step 6. I want to mark the point where those 2 circles intersected. So the 2 circles that I just drew, I want to mark the point where they intersect. So that would be right here. And then the last step is to connect your shape, right? So you could use the polygon shape, you could use the line segment tool, but you want to create your shape. So I'm going to click from A to point F is the one I just reflected, back down to B, and there we go. And that is our reflected image. Make it a little smaller so you can see the whole thing. There we go. All right, I'm going to do one more. So again, we did this one in class and we kind of ran out of time at the end to go over it. So I'm going to reflect this triangle over the line. This D was here from the last time, so let me erase that. And this time again, we have to use point C to do our reflection because A and B are on the line of reflection, so they're not going to move. And also what makes this one different is that we're reflecting top down, whereas up here we were going from left to right. So you just want to be careful you're grabbing the right points. It's oriented differently. So again, my first step is to create a point on the line of reflection, point D. If you put it up a little bit, it's better than trying to make it in the middle of the shape and so forth. So I'm going to put it up here. And now I want to make a circle around C with the radius that has C to D, that new point I made. So I'm going to grab my circle tool, connect C to D, and keep it centered at C. And so now the circle is way off the screen. So if you click on your pointer tool and then just click in the screen anywhere, you could scroll to make your shape bigger or smaller or move it around so you could see the other end of the circle. So I need to put a point now where the circle crosses over the line of reflection. I already have point D where I started, so I need another one over here. So I'm going to grab my intersect tool and put a point there. All right. And so now I need to make two circles, one circle around D, one circle around E, and the radius is the point C that we're connecting both of them to. So I'm going to grab my circle tool, I'm going to connect a radius from D to C, centered around D, and another one from C to E, centered around E. And so now I need to make a point where these two circles, so the two circles I just drew is the one furthest to the left and the one furthest to the right. So when where those two intersect is the point I need. And so I'm going to blow this up just a little bit so I could see it a little bit better. Move it over. So where these two intersect, so I'm going to make a point right there. And now I could draw my shape. So again, you can use a line segment tool or your shape tool, and I'm going to connect those points. And there we go. We've reflected the image. All right. If you scroll down, task 3 is to do another line of reflection. So that was just like the first one we did. We already have the reflected image. We just have to use that perpendicular bisector construction to construct the line of reflection here. And then finally, task 4 is a challenge, and I promised that I would do this one in class so you could see it. So I'll share this with you when we get back from break. But if you'd like to try it, you could go for it. Again, in order to do this, though, you have to reflect 2 points. So you're basically going to have to do the construction twice, one for point D and one for point C, which means you're going to end up with a lot of circles. And so if you try this one, I would color code the circles to make it easier to see which one you're looking at the time. So maybe your first set of circles around D could be red, and then your second set of circles to reflect C could be blue or something like that so you could see the difference. But I will go over this one with you when we get back if you're interested. Most importantly, you want to make sure you could do the line of reflection, and then also these two constructions where you're constructing the reflected image. So I will post this GeoGebra practice in the course as well, along with the first one, where it's just the line of reflection, and you could practice those and have a happy Thanksgiving and break. And I will see you back on Tuesday, I believe.